Hi guys, welcome back. So today I am here with my 500 subscriber Q&A video. Finally, I know it's taken me a couple weeks to get everything together for this, partly because I wanted to do a little giveaway for you guys and I've been collecting things for that. So more information about the giveaway will be at the end of the video. But first I wanted to answer your guys' questions, and also I wanted to say, oh my goodness, you guys are amazing. It wasn't that long ago I hit 500 and I'm already over 600, which is like kind of mind-blowing. So thank you so much, and thank you so much to everybody who submitted questions for this. I got some really good ones. I have actually not prepared for this because I have a lot going on right now, so we're just gonna wing it and see how this goes. But again, thank you so much to everyone who submitted questions. And I will say too, I'll link down below all of the channels of the people who asked. I am trying to promote some more small booktubers, and a lot of these people are that and are people that I really love, and I think you guys might love too and should definitely go check out. So first question comes from Books and Looks, the fantastic duo. They asked, what actor would you want to play you in a movie about your life? So this is kind of an interesting one, and it's a little tricky, but I'm just gonna go with kind of my first thought on this. I don't know, maybe this is gonna be controversial because I know not everybody likes her, but I think I would want Anne Hathaway. I really like her. I feel like we look kind of similar, and I don't know, I just like her vibe. So obviously she would be playing the older version, like the older version of me. I don't know enough young actors to tell you who I would want to play me as like a teenager. Oh, you know what? Actually, that's not true. You know who probably would be good is, what is her name? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to look it up. Hold on. Ah, yes. Haley Steinfeld from Edge of 17. I just like her a lot. And she does such a good job of playing like awkward, nerdy characters, which I think is very much who I was as like a young person. So there you go. I'm gonna go with like Haley Steinfeld for a young me and Anne Hathaway for like a 20s and up me, I think is like who I would go with. Next is a question from Olivia from I Love You for Books. This is a really fun one. She asks, it's the zombie apocalypse and you only have whatever object is to your right with a zombie approaching you. Do you live? Well, actually, to my right, I have a makeup mirror, and this thing's pretty hefty, so I'm thinking I live. I'm pretty scrappy. I had 5 younger brothers, so I can kill that zombie with my mirror for sure. Next is a question from Jade over at Bedtime Bookworm, who is great. I've been getting to know her lately and she's awesome. She asks, as a busy mom of 2 little ones and all the other things you juggle, how do you fit in all your reading? And I think that's a really great question, and I have a few kind of pieces of answering this. One thing is that I just read really fast is part of it. I've always been a fairly fast reader, and so because of that I'm able to get through more in a shorter amount of time. And then I almost always have a book with me. Recently I've started having my Kindle with NetGalley books, and that's been great because I can go take my kids places to play and just kind of like read a little bit at a time in between taking care of them and everything. I will read in the evenings sometimes, like my husband will play video games or whatever, and I might read a book. I mean, obviously and I think what tends to happen, because obviously I have my YouTube and everything too, and so there'll end up being some days where I'm mostly just doing YouTube stuff and don't really get much reading done, and then there will be other days where I'm like, I just feel like reading, so I will read all evening. I'm also totally a night owl, and my kids go to bed kind of early, so I actually have a lot of time in the evening available to work on editing videos or do some reading, and so I end up getting a lot done. So there you go. Next is a question from A Throne of Books, and she asks, what book do you think best describes how your 2017 went? Ooh, that's a tough one, actually. I'm gonna need to think about that. That's a really interesting question, though. Okay, I came up with something. So I think I'm gonna actually go with Passenger by Alex Bracken, because I think 2017 for me has really been a year of new beginnings and changes. I had my youngest son in December, right before the new year began, and so a lot of the early part of the year was adjusting to being a mom of two. I also had a lot of major sort of life changes in terms of switching directions. I started my booktube channel. I sort of discovered new worlds through that. I've gotten way more into the book community and publishing and makeup and a lot of things. And so I'm gonna go with Passengers because it's about time travel, it's about discovering new worlds, it's about finding out things about yourself that you didn't know before, and I think that's a lot of what last year was for me. Next is Ava from Ava Mueller Reads, and she had a few questions. She asks about my current read, how I balance my life and YouTube, and a genre that I don't read as often but really like when I do. So first of all, as far as what I'm currently reading, I am reading advanced copies of two books. The first is Gone World by Tom Schwetter something. I don't know. I will put a picture up here so I can show you guys what I mean. It's a really interesting book. It's kind of a mixture of crime thriller and science fiction, and I'm really enjoying it, so I'm reading that. And I have also started reading an arc of The Bells by Danielle Clayton, which is also fantastic and one of my most anticipated books of the year, so I'm really enjoying that. So those are my current reads. As far as balancing life and YouTube, I don't know. I like working a lot. I like doing things. I am currently doing a little bit of freelance work, but mostly home with my kids, and so YouTube has been a really great outlet for me for creativity and for learning new things and making friends and talking to all of you. And so I just kind of fit it in when I can, you know, when my youngest is napping, maybe I'll edit some videos or watch some stuff, maybe watch some videos in the morning while I'm doing my makeup. And getting ready for the day, do things in the evening after the kids have gone to bed. I just sort of managed to fit it all together. I do have a babysitter that comes for a few hours a week to give me some time to work on taking pictures for Instagram and for doing videos and doing video editing, freelance jobs, and looking for other types of work. So kind of a mix of stuff. So that is, I mean, I don't know that I always do a perfect job of balancing it, but I try, and you know, it's working fairly well. I'm like hoping eventually I can get more freelance work and have more income coming in, or find a job once my oldest goes to pre-K in the fall, but it's been good. And then as far as genres I don't read as often, I really like historical fiction a lot, like adult epic historical fiction of certain types. Like I love Kate Morton so much. I love everything. I own all of her books. She's like an autobi author for me. So I don't read as much of that kind of stuff, but I really like it when I do. Books and Jams asks, what book characters would you be friends with? Oh, that's interesting. Man, I really should have thought more about these questions before I started filming this. Okay, so one that comes to mind is actually Mira from Before She Ignites by Jodi Meadows. I feel like I would be friends with her. She's like super sweet and precious, but also is kind of a badass when she needs to be. And I don't know, I just really like her. I feel like we would get along and be friends. I would probably be slightly terrified and slightly in awe of Lila Bard from Darker Shade of Magic. I would probably want to be her friend, but I'm not sure I would be cool enough for her. Also, I would totally be friends with Percy from Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. He just seems really cool and kind of laid back and smart and just like somebody I would want to be friends with. So I don't know. There's probably more things I'm not thinking of, but those are the first things that I sort of come to mind. Next is from Hardback Haven. She asked, what are your favorite videos to make and watch? And how do you balance being a mom and a booktuber? And I think for the second question, I've kind of answered this. I just sort of work it around my kids. I do have time in the day where the baby is napping and I'll let my oldest watch a little bit of TV or something. I don't know. I just do kind of make it work. I do try to be aware of when they're needing more from me. Like occasionally I'll realize, okay, my oldest probably needs more really focused attention from me, and so I'll kind of drop everything and spend some time just like talking to him and playing with him, and I try to make sure that their needs are met in a, you know, emotionally as well as physically. But yeah, I also know that I am happier and I think a better mom when I have other things that I'm doing and pouring myself into, and so I think having Booktube is something that makes me a better person and makes me a better mom and like gives me more of the patience that I need to do a good job with them. Favorite videos to make and watch. I really enjoy when I have the time sitting down and watching a chatty sort of video, like a get ready with me or just a discussion video. I really enjoy those. I can just sort of play them while I'm doing other things, like doing my makeup or cleaning up or making dinner or whatever. And so I enjoy those sorts of things. I also do get a kick out of people who are like snarky and funny about stuff without being mean, but like kind of snarky. Yeah, so that I enjoy. I'm probably less that way, at least on camera. Sometimes I think in real life I'm maybe a little bit more that way, but like not really, I don't know. As far as making videos, I don't know. I like doing all of these. I think I've said before, tags are not usually my favorite. I like making chatty sort of discussion videos. I like watching them. I like making them. I really had fun making my tour of used bookstores in Manhattan. That was so much fun to do, and I really enjoyed getting to get out and use my camera there. Yeah, so those are some of the things I like doing. Oh man, you guys, sorry. I'm so chatty. I like talk so much. I think we're getting close to the end. Oh yeah, I still have some more questions. Sorry, editing this video is going to be interesting. All right, so Jean from Happy Indulgence asked, what is your most hyped book of 2018? And you guys, I mean, I keep talking about it. I can't shut up about it, but Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I mean, that is absolutely the one I'm most excited about and can't wait for it to come out. And I actually want to reread it. I rarely reread books, especially not soon after reading them. It's just not what I do, but that book I want to reread. If you haven't seen it yet, I will link my full review, my non-spoiler review up here if you want to go check that out, but oh, I'm so excited for it. Worth 1,000 Words asked, what has been your biggest struggle with your channel? I don't know. I mean, I don't know that I would call it a struggle, but I think it's been a process of figuring out what the kind of content that I really want to make. When I started it, I think I was doing more beauty content, and I sort of discovered that there are elements of that world that I don't love as much as the booktube community, which is part of why I've sort of switched gears a bit and focusing more on the books, although I still love beauty and I do some of it, but I'm trying to tie it more closely to fandom and to the books that I'm reading instead of making it like its own thing as often. So, you know, but I think that's also normal growing pains, finding your voice and figuring out where you fit and where you want to fit. And so I don't know that it's a struggle, but that's probably the closest thing I would say. The Lawn Gnome asks, who were some of your influences that made you want to start your channel? So before I ever knew that Booktube existed, I was a pretty avid YouTube watcher. I used to watch a lot of family vloggers. I started doing that when I was pregnant with my oldest son because I didn't really know a lot of other people in my life who were married and pregnant and having babies, and so it was just like something I needed at that point in my life to see other people who were going through the same thing. And so I used to watch a lot of that, and I don't know, I just loved it. I loved YouTube. And then I remember when I found out that Booktube was a thing, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And I had started watching some beauty creators as well prior to that and had thought, oh, it would be sort of fun to do that, but I don't know if I'm good enough. But then when I found out about the Booktube thing, I was like, this is so cool. I could do that. Like, I want to start a channel. This seems like fun. If I'm ever going to do it, this would be the time in my life to do it. So yeah. Literary Lizzie asks, do you like to read one book at a time or a few? I don't know. I usually like to have one book that I'm primarily focused on, but I typically am kind of in the middle of like 3 or so, 2 or 3. Most of the time, and I don't mind that. I do find that when it gets to be more than that, I get overwhelmed. That's just too much for me, so I try to not keep it to too many books. Brinley Tesh asks, do I reread books? And if so, what books do I reread the most frequently? And what was my favorite childhood book? So I mentioned this a little bit earlier. I am not a big rereader. Like, that's just not something I do often. There are a handful of books and series that I will reread because I love them so much, but they are few and far between. A couple of those are actually books that I would say are my favorite childhood books, so I will get to those in just a minute. This month for the rereadathon, I did reread the first book in the sort of truth series by Terry Goodkind, Wizard's First Rule, and it was so good. I enjoyed it so much. I had so much fun rereading it. Granted, I hadn't read it in like 12 years, but that was really fun. As far as favorite childhood books, and these are the ones that really I have read multiple times over the years, The Chronicles of Narnia is a big one. I got my set of books for my 7th birthday and I've reread them many times. They are so well loved. That was definitely my introduction to fantasy, and so I love those. Also, the Song of the Lioness Quartet by Tamora Pierce. Love, love, love. Those were amazing. Probably my first introduction to something that was more feminist, and if you haven't read them, they're so good, and they really hold up to time, I think, too, really well. All right, we've got 3 more questions. Danny Buxton asked, what is my favorite underrated book that you think needs to be talked about more on Booktube? I think I've talked about this before, but I think Shadow Shaper and Shadow House Fall by Daniel Jose Older are amazing and really should be talked about more. I thought that Forest of a Thousand Lanterns by Julie C. Dowd didn't get as much attention as it deserved because it was such a good book and so well written. I am a huge fan of the School for Good and Evil series by Soman Chainani. I know not everybody loves it, but I did. I thought they were amazing. I love those books, and I think they're maybe not talked about enough. So there's a few. I might at some point make an entire video. Let me know in the comments down below if you'd be interested in that, talking about some of my favorite underappreciated books. Michael from Catalyst Reads asks, who are your top 5 favorite writers that no matter what they write, that you will read it? Okay, Kate Morton, who I already mentioned, I will read anything she writes. Marie Lu has become that for me. I love her. I will pretty much read anything she writes. Cassandra Clare, I think I've read pretty much everything she's ever written. I'm still reading I still need to read Lord of Shadows, but other than that, I've read all of her stuff, including her middle grade series with Holly Black, and I'm super excited about her adult series that's coming out, so I will probably read anything that she writes. Obviously, each of these last 2 only have 1 book out so far, but I will definitely read and buy anything else they write. So S.A. Chakraborty, who wrote City of Brass, and Tomi Adeyemi, who wrote Children of Blood and Bone. So there you have it. And last question is from Amber over at Amber Eats Books, and she asks, what type of character do you identify with the most? I'll tell you what I read recently where I was amazed at how much I identified with the character was Forest of a Thousand Lanterns by Julie C. Dowd. If you're not familiar with it, it's so good. You should totally go read it. But it's a sort of Snow White retelling, but it's the backstory of the evil queen set in ancient China. And Shifeng is the protagonist. She's gonna eventually be the evil queen, and I loved her, and man, I felt for her. I'm a Slytherin, and I totally understood like her ambition and her desire to see the world and her desire to make something of her life that's bigger than, you know, what she feels like she was born to. And so obviously the way that she takes that is really problematic, and that made me so sad because I really wanted her to be able to be successful without like hurting people that she loves. I don't know. That was so hard for me, but I really identified with her character. I also really loved Queen Lavanna. I feel like reading Fairest, I understood a little bit more of where she came from, that it was her pain that was turned into a negative way. And I guess that's the thing, is I understand people who are ambitious and people who've been through painful experiences and often end up becoming villains, but I feel for them because I understand those feelings, but I also think that you can take those and turn them into a positive way and allow it to be something that creates good. I don't know, this is becoming a very philosophical discussion, but there you go. Characters I identify with the most. Okay, so thank you again to everyone who asked questions. Now on to the giveaway, which I am super excited about. This isn't like a huge giveaway, but I think it should be pretty fun. So this giveaway is going to be going until February 2nd, and all of the information on how to enter will be in the video description down below. But if you want to enter, I will tell you what you will win. It's going to be 3 arcs. The first one is An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. I read it and really liked it. The cover on this is gorgeous. I read it and really enjoyed it. I know not everybody was as impressed with it. I think because they were super hyped about it, so I wouldn't go into this being super hyped, but if you're not, I think you'll enjoy it. Next is an arc of Love, Hate, and Other Filters by Samir Ahmed. I love this book. I definitely highly recommend it. I will be talking about this in my wrap-up, and I will link up above if you want to check it out. I actually got to go to a signing, and I now have a finished copy of my own, so I'm giving this away to you guys. And this is, in fact, a signed copy. So that's exciting. So I have a signed copy of that, and then I also have I have another signed arc. I apologize, the cover is a little bit bent, so it's not in perfect condition, but hopefully you will still be excited. It is an arc of Everless by Sarah Holland. Again, I have a finished copy already for myself. I did go to the signing, and this is a signed arc. So I am very excited about that. So the winner will win these 3 arcs. These 2 are signed by the author, and yeah, so really fun. If you guys want to enter, I will leave a link down below that you can use to enter. This is probably US only because shipping. I know, at some point I need to do like a book depository giveaway where I can just do it for whoever, like all of my international viewers. I'm sorry you guys, shipping. But if you want to enter, please do. I'm excited about it. If you guys like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.